The research agenda for the school is essential to our mission, which is to contribute to better public policy making and public policy implementation.
The school has started from day one as both a teaching and research commitment.
We're looking at several large research themes in establishing the Melbourne School of Government. A lot of those are to do with what we would call governance issues.
What is government and governing, and those two are not the same things, but how they affect people's lives.
It's not just the government, there are citizens, there are private organisations involved, there are not-for-profit organisations involved, and decisions happen at so many levels.
The first priority focuses on governance and performance, and that's really thinking about research that can help build sustainable institutions, research that can help develop good public policy programmes, and research that can support the evaluation of those good programmes. The second research area focuses on knowledge and expertise, and that's really thinking about, well, who has expertise? The third area we're calling representation, security and justice, and that really focuses on those people who don't have a voice in public policy making decisions. And the last focus is what we're calling governing markets, and that's really about how do we understand better the role of the market, how do we regulate it, how do we think about the role of government as a market maker as well as a market manager.
Our teaching is going to be informed by a research agenda that will develop within these custodial faculties and other parts of the university in response to the big issues in the region, the big issues in the public sector.
The school's research agenda focuses principally on developments in what we're calling the Asian century.
It's a good opportunity to really engage with the region we're in.
Whether you're worried about the state of world trade and the state of global economic growth, or whether you're worried about the negative impact on that on the global environment, you're going to have to understand developments in these big Asian economies, which represent most of what's happening in the world.
The faculties coming together is very important in that. In terms of the research, because I think that mimics what actually happens in government. Agricultural policy, for example, you'll have scientists involved, you'll have economists involved, and then once it becomes legislation, you'll have lawyers involved as well. And I think if you're going to do research on how that sort of policy is made and the content of that policy, you need to have all those academic disciplines involved in that research.
Economics and business both have a strong bearing, of course, on public policy. Economics informs public policy through taxation, through income support schemes, through encouraging development in industry. There's various ways that our core disciplines, economics and business, are directly interlinked with how public policy is designed and how public policy is implemented.
The law school has had a long-term engagement in public policy, and I think that it's really important for people who are either in government themselves or looking to engage with government to understand the extent to which government policy and the capacity to legislate is limited, for example, within a constitutional framework, and is often put into operation through legislative or regulatory methods.
The great strengths in arts that come into this domain are the disciplines that have that combination of an applied research and problem-solving orientation and a deep interest in the public sphere.
The advantage of the School of Government is that it will enable us to work more closely with scholars of politics and government.
How do we know that our public policies are working, and how well are they working, and whose point of view is important in that? That, I think, will be an important part of the research.
I think there is a need for academic insight in policy research, not only in terms of what policies actually constitute or the sort of content of a given policy, but how they're made, how they're implemented. So I think there's a pretty broad scope for a lot of research to happen within the school.
I think the Melbourne School of Government is a really exciting project, not just because we get to train the next generation, but because if we do it right, our research and our writing can help shape and influence public policy in local, state and national government.